Everyone expects Aaron Rodgers to be back. He's created that expectation. And then he says, whoa, let's pump the brakes. Let's not get too excited about this, but I am coming back. But let's not get too excited about when, but I am coming back. I have a calendar. I have a schedule. I am coming back. But let's not talk too much about me coming back. I don't know when he'll be back, if he'll be back this year. I do know this, though. The New York Post reported in the aftermath of the trade deadline that the Jets tried to get Mike Evans and Davante Adams. Probably one or the other, but they made an effort to make that trade, and both teams involved, the Raiders with Adams and the Buccaneers with Evans, refused to do it. The Raiders were willing to part ways with Hunter Renfrow, but the Jets were more interested in an outside option, not a slot receiver. And also, NFL media threw in that T. Higgins was a player that the Jets tried to trade for. He's obviously with the Bengals in the last year of his contract. Right. I wondered at first, why would the Jets put this out there? The fact that it was the New York Post, Brian Costello, the Jets with two other teams involved, he covers the Jets. The Jets wanted this out there. And it's like, why would they care? Well, wait a minute. It's Aaron Rodgers. And I think back to two things. Number one, they would always try to placate him in Green Bay and make him think they made an effort to go out and try to trade for somebody. And then number two, when he gives up $33.8 million in salary and says at the time, this will give us flexibility to add veteran help at the trade deadline, that creates an expectation that the Jets are going to do something at the trade deadline. So, Aaron, believe us, we tried to spend some of your $33.8 million. We already spent some of it on Dalvin Cook, and that hasn't exactly gone very well for anyone. We tried to spend some more of it on Davante Adams / Mike Evans / T. Higgins, but they kept hanging up the phone on us. So please, Aaron, just like the Packers tried to get OBJ a couple of years ago, we tried to get you help at the receiver position. And the fact that they did, the fact that they tried, it does kind of create a greater sense. They're not bringing these guys in potentially for Zach Wilson. They're bringing these guys in because Dad's coming home at some point, and he's going to be ready to throw footballs to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, whether that happens, this year or not, I mean, that's still going to be, that's the great mystery, right? I mean, whether that Achilles tendon was only partially torn, fully torn, I hear you with what you're saying. Now, listen, I don't think, for beat writers, it's not that crazy for them the day after the trade deadline to write an article about what their team they follow was maybe involved with the trade talks. It's not that crazy, right?
But the team still has to tell them.
Right.
The team still
Somebody
has to
tell them there, yes.
If you want to keep it secret, you keep it secret. You don't want people to think, oh, you failed. Oh, yeah, you tried to make a trade and you failed. It's just the common thread is Rodgers, making Rodgers think you tried.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's part of it. Yeah,
we tried to spend Aaron Rodgers' money.
Right. I think that's certainly part of it. And then the crazy Jets fan base is the other part of it. They're trying to appeal to both there a little bit. That's how I would take it, at least, right? I think it's a big talking point up here that, yeah, Garrett Wilson's the only guy on the team that can really separate from people, right? And there needs to be another weapon in the receiver room there that can help Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. So I don't disagree with you there that was probably put out there. One for the fan base, two for Rodgers, maybe one for Rodgers, two for the fan base, maybe is what you're saying there. But yeah, I don't doubt that. And also too, they could have been real players for these guys. Now, it's just what are they asking? What were they asking to get for them? That's the other part of this too. And, they could have really wanted them, but the price tag could have been just way too much too, to where they go, between what we traded for Rodgers and some other moves we made with our football team, maybe they weren't willing to, leverage what these teams were asking for aging receivers that I would say are on the downslope of their career.
That wasn't reported, though. What was reported was they didn't want to trade them. It wasn't they wanted too much. It was they said no. See, so that's what makes me think this is placate Aaron Rodgers, because why would they say no? Why would they say absolutely not? if the Jets are going to make them an offer that they would say, maybe we should take it, especially the Raiders with Adams. I get it that the Bucs are still in contention. Why do you give up Mike Evans if you're still in contention? I get that. And the Bengals, they need T. Higgins. I also think, Chris, you mentioned the fan base. There's another wrinkle here that occurred to me as you were saying that.
Right.
The Jets are raising their ticket prices next year by 10%, roughly, for season ticket holders. And they moved the renewal date from the spring to November 15. So 13 days from now, you've got to commit, if you're a season ticket holder, to renewing your seats for next year. And just this whole talk of bringing in this guy, bringing in that guy, it creates the sense that Aaron will be back next year without anyone saying he'll definitely be back. So these folks have to make their commitment in 2 weeks, and maybe that's part of it too. But I get it. Beat writers, look, you're covering your team, but there's certain stuff that you're only getting if someone from the team wants you to know it. And I think the Jets wanted this known.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I don't. And you know, whether it was to placate Rodgers or not, I think it's totally fair to ask that, and I think it's totally fair to assume that was part of why it was released. You know, just so he knew that, his camp knows that, and, you know, add on a few other factors, and I'm sure that's why, you know, that was out there. Like, yeah, I'm with you in the Davante Adams thing, like, yeah, no, they won't trade him. That kind of was shocking, and I'd be hard-pressed to think that if they got some crazy offer, you know, Bucs or Raiders, that they wouldn't, you know, trade them. I mean, Mike Evans, it's the last year of his deal. He wants big money. By all due accounts, the Bucs aren't going to give it to him. You know, that's certainly the way it seems. So I would think that if they got an offer that blew them out of the water, they would have done it. You know, it's easy to say, oh, they wouldn't do it now, too. That's another thing we could say, you know, here with just, again, the politics and what teams say, and they don't want to burn the Bucs, and the Bucs maybe didn't want to burn Mike Evans and make that, you know, a whole issue there either way. But either way, the Jets are not very impressive at the wide receiver position, and Zach Wilson, you know, or Aaron Rodgers when they come back. Yeah, there's only one guy you're really worried about in defending the pass, and that's Garrett Wilson.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.